Good day, fellow gamers and Zelda nerds alike. This year is going to be a great year. Goodbye, 2020, you awful, dirty storm of a year. Sorry about that, folks. Sometimes I forget that this is a family channel. I'll clean my act up from here on out. Not only is 2020 behind us, but we also get to celebrate the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda. That's right, everyone, 35 years since the first time that green tunic wearing weirdo set off on an adventure to save Princess Zelda and bring peace to the citizens of Hyrule. Since this marks such a wonderful time in gaming, we as fans expect Nintendo to go all out for the anniversary just as much or even more so than the 35th anniversary of Mario. One rumor that is being tossed around right now is Ocarina of Time being either ported or remastered for the Switch. But I mean, let's be real here, given what Nintendo has done with Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, it'll be pretty bare bones. That is unless Nintendo got my email. In which case, don't worry friends, SGM has your back. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. I thought since we're talking about Ocarina of Time, and that chance of it being ported to the Switch is a very exciting time, we should do a 10 Things You Didn't Know video featuring Ocarina of Time. But before we get into all of that, if you guys like all things Nintendo and gaming, don't forget to hit that like button. I mean, like, really hit it. Smash it! Help break it! Show it who's boss! And then gently subscribe, as to not miss each and every video that we put out. All jokes aside, friends, without further ado, here are 10 things you didn't know about The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now it makes complete sense that Ocarina of Time uses the same engine as Super Mario 64, although the engine had been heavily modified in order to ensure that the former not mimic the latter. There is still some evidence of this engine in Ocarina of Time. For instance, when fighting Phantom Ganon, the developers made use of the painting mechanics from Super Mario 64, which allows Phantom Ganon to go through the paintings when battling him. In addition to that, the Post Sisters also make use of the painting mechanics. Ocarina of Time is definitely not as serious and dark of a story as, say, Majora's Mask, but it definitely is one of the more serious entries in the Legend of Zelda franchise. But that doesn't mean that there isn't room for comedy with the odd joke thrown in. For example, when you reach the Spirit Temple and look around at the goddess statue in the middle of the temple, notice that she has two spots for the hookshot to be used. Right on her nipples. Yep, nipples. I mean, I can definitely appreciate it. Now, since we're talking about the darker aspects of the game, sort of, we can't leave out the Shadow Temple and its gruesome origins. Now, it's pretty obvious when you first walk into the Shadow Temple and you look upon its walls, you notice the skulls, blood, undead enemies, and of course the various torture devices all throughout the area, that this is unlike any other temple in the game. Now, taking the aesthetics and enemies into consideration, and after reading the text that can be found in the dungeon, which reads, Shadow Temple, here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. It is heavily suggested that this temple was once a torture chamber, and that many money-hungry Hyruleans had met their demise in this temple, are cursed to roam the halls of said temple. Now, as mentioned earlier in the video, Ocarina of Time was built using the exact same, although heavily altered, engine as Super Mario 64, which uses Princess Peach's castle as the hub of the game. So would it have been possible for the devs of Ocarina of Time to use a castle as their hub? Well, they did play around with this idea. The plan was to have Link enter different dungeons while exploring Ganon's castle, but after some serious thought, they decided that they didn't want to make an isolated adventure and wanted to further differentiate the game from Super Mario 64. When it comes to creating a project, artists look to others for inspiration. It's no different when it comes to video games. For example, when the developers of Breath of the Wild were looking for inspiration for their open-world adventure, they looked to Skyrim for their inspiration. And when it comes to Breath of the Wild 2, it's documented that the devs are looking to Red Dead Redemption 2 as inspiration for the newest title. Ocarina of Time takes inspiration from a more unexpected place. The world was inspired by David Lynch's Twin Peaks, more specifically how the background characters interacted with Link. One of the biggest components of Ocarina of Time was the inclusion of time travel and changing from Child Link to Adult Link. So it was very unfortunate to learn that Child Link was almost completely cut from the entire game. Director Toru Osawa was quoted saying that this was due to the game's Shinobi-style combat and how it doesn't work well with the limited attack reach of Child Link, and he would be at a very terrible disadvantage because of it. And although it reportedly caused serious heated arguments, Miyamoto insisted that Child Link be included because he liked the idea of including a cute little Link, and thus the time travel mechanic was born. Fortunately, Miyamoto won and the Child Link was included in the game, because let's be real, it's impossible to imagine the game without Child Link and the time travel mechanic. It was surreal to witness for the first time seeing Link grown up and the story that followed. You all know Navi, that annoying little fairy that follows Link around the entire story, constantly repeating the phrases, "Hey," and "Listen." God, as much as I love this game, I've been known to decide to not pick it up just knowing that I have to hear those words spoken every 12 seconds. And do not get me started on that stupid owl. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. It's said that Nintendo was planning to develop this character a lot further than just the companion character that we received. It was actually noted in an interview with Miyamoto back in 1997 that Navi was to actually have feelings for Link and would grow to be jealous of Princess Zelda. There seems to be evidence of this in the Legend of Zelda manga adaptation, with Navi telling Link that she loves him before leaving. When doing research for these videos, there is usually one or two facts that really catch me off guard and make me say, oh, and this was definitely one of them. Now, everyone is aware that Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda are the two biggest franchises for the big N, so it makes sense that they would often involve Easter eggs from both franchises in each game. And there's evidence of that in almost each different iteration of each game that gets released. Ocarina of Time is no different. One such Easter egg is found within Hyrule Castle, where we meet Princess Zelda for the first time. If you look through the courtyard windows, you can clearly see portraits of Mario, Bowser, Yoshi, Peach, and Luigi. Koji Kondo is a genius when it comes to composing sounds and music for video games. Just look at his resume. The guy has been around since the early days of the NES and is still composing music for the Japanese video game giant to this day. But even veterans like him need help once in a while. It's kind of a funny thing to learn that he actually used a stock sampling CD called Voice Spectral, as well as other sampling CDs when it came to some specific sounds that he needed for this game. And also for Super Mario 64, for instance, he used one of these sample CDs for the Islamic prayer used in the original Fire Temple. It's a 30-second clip played on loop. So, Bongo Bongo, that weird boss from the Shadow Temple who uses the platform you're standing on to play music. I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry, but there could be a little more to him than what meets the eye. In Kakariko Village, you can come across a man who mentions how a long time ago, a man had an eye that could see the truth. One would normally require intense training to see the truth, but this man had a different way of doing so. His house stood where the well is now. Bongo Bongo was believed to be that Sheikah member who betrayed the royal family. However, Impa would eventually seal him away. Over time, Bongo Bongo would undergo a drastic change and take the current form that you see in the Shadow Temple. I mean, that's pretty crazy deep stuff. It just goes to show how much detail the developers have put into the finished product of this game. All right, guys, and that's it. That is going to do it for this list. Did you learn anything from this list? Are there any facts that we should have mentioned but missed? And lastly, do you think Nintendo will re-release Ocarina of Time for the Switch for the Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary? What other goodies do you want to see from Nintendo in celebration of this anniversary? Comment down below your thoughts. Also, don't forget to like this video if you learned something. Hell, even if you didn't learn anything, like it anyway. I mean, I put a lot of work in this list, okay? It would be nice to feel appreciated once in a while. Just kidding. But also, don't forget to subscribe to Super Gaming Minute for more content like this and to make sure you're the first to know when these videos come out. Thanks a lot, you guys. I truly appreciate you being here and watching the videos. Don't forget to check out other videos on the channel, and as always, keep on gaming.